This is the Board of County Commissioners meeting for a vicious dog hearing. It's July 25th, 2023, and the time is 1:37 p.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. In attendance are Commissioners Brooks, Matari, and Duncan. Are there any changes to the agenda? All right, hearing none. We are hearing animal set for destruction, and its case number is 23-23900, 23 Charlie 23320, 23-11472, 22-25015, and 23-29133. And Paul Perez is the animal owner. Since this is a quasi judicial hearing, the clerk will now swear you in.
Please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you shall give in the issue pending before the Kootenai County Board of Commissioners shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
All right. Darren?
So it can be whatever order. It's his appeal, Mr. Perez's appeal.
Okay, so
his
we usually
burden,
take the appellant first.
And then my recommendation is keep the scope limited to the appeal.
Sure. All right, and so I believe the appeal is for the destruction order and not for any other declarations. So, Mr. Perez, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I'm appealing my dog being labeled a dangerous animal. He does need some training, but he's not that dog. He's not a dangerous dog. He really isn't. He defended himself one time. Another time he did get a hold of a chicken on the property that taunted him quite a bit. They would come over to my property and they'd cluck on the ground after I would weed eat and stuff. And he's on the other side of the fence. And well, he got out. And the reason he got out was an ex of mine, and it happened a few times. She's no longer at all in the picture anymore. I do have a dog kennel that I'm building. It's almost done. I poured the concrete for it and got it almost welded together. Tried my butt off to get it done yesterday, and I didn't quite, but I've got pictures. I've got all my beware dog signs up. I've got him a nice muzzle. I bring it down to the shelter when I dropped him off with his leash and collar and licenses and shots and everything, but what happened at the dog park was self-defense. I mean, it really was. I saw it happen with my own two eyes. He was attacked by a dog that was vicious, and it states on the fence as you go in that no vicious animals are allowed there, period. They should be removed immediately. My dog was playing with all the other dogs. I was speaking with an elderly lady, and I don't have her name. Everything happened so fast that I was talking to her, and she was leery about her dog being there because 9 months prior to that, her dog was attacked. And my dog was playing with her dog and mingling, and he was still on a leash with me and stuff. And anyway, she was like, well, you can never judge a book by its cover. And everything was really cool. I let my dog off leash as I was talking to her for a while, and I'm so sorry. I tried to shut this thing off. Anyways, I did let him go, and he was playing with all the other dogs. Really good, playing ball, swimming, and everything. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a guy come up with he had 3 small dogs. He let one of them down, almost like a little kid bowling, and the dog ran straight to my dog Marbles, and that just started barking at him, and my dog went to smell him, and the dog got, and third time the dog bit my dog in the nose, kind of. There's witnesses that says different, but I know what I saw. I was trying not to disrespect the woman when I was talking to her, but at this point, I took off running towards the dog, and the owner of the dog was standing there screaming about money. And anyways, my dog grabbed the dog and slung it around. And dropped it as soon as I yelled his name, and that was it. The guy wanted to fight me. I didn't want to fight. He was drinking. He had a backpack full of beer. Meanwhile, he wanted to fight me and everything else, and I didn't want to fight. I didn't know what to do. I gave my number to somebody down there. I've got his number on a picture, on a screenshot. I'd gotten several texts from the guy. The first text, and I have it with me, stated it's not my fault, it's not my dog's fault, this and that. And then the text started getting more aggressive, and he says, well, this is the second dog on my watch that's been killed by a vicious animal, and your ragdoll dog killed my dog, and this and that, and I'm going to pay, and all this and that. And then they kept getting worse. I actually went down to the sheriff's department with the text because I felt threatened, but they were closed. And I talked to a deputy, and I was reading them the text. I don't read that well. I don't do paperwork that well. That's why I didn't appeal it. At the time, I didn't know. My dad is the same as me. It's just him and I. But anyways, the sheriff told me to just block the guy. But I mean, I kind of wanted something on record. It didn't. I got the screenshots from him threatening me. And to me, honestly, I mean, second dog on his watch, to me, doesn't seem very responsible. I mean, that'd be like 2 kids in my book, like drowning in a pool or something. You know, he shouldn't have, you know, he shouldn't be bringing them to the dog. And then I talked to the one original dog catcher, and he told me that all small dogs were aggressive and this and that. And I thought that was odd, but I started thinking about it, and I went down and I took a picture of the rules of the dog park. It's the first time I've ever been to one, or my dog Marbles. He truly is a good dog. And it says any aggressive dogs must be immediately removed from the dog park. Well, the sheriff told me that all little dogs are aggressive. You know, so why would you bring an aggressive dog to a dog park if they're not allowed there? You know, and it attacked my dog 3 times. My dog did get a hold, but he's not a mean dog. I got a lot of people that know that. I mean, the town, they all love my dog. If I don't bring him in the store, and I have post-traumatic stress disorder.
So-
I suffer from anxiety, depression, grieving, lost with 3 family members. People come out.
We only have a half an hour for this hearing, and so I would like to ask you some questions about, so that was the one incident, but there's been other animals killed as well. Can you tell me about those?
Well, that was that one. The other one was the chicken across the street from my house. That, you know, they bring their animals over. They let them go on my property. I don't mind, but it is kind of a danger to my dog that they do so, because if my dog gets, if my dog gets out, he's going to be in trouble because he will go after him, and they taunt him kind of, you know, and it happened once. It'll never happen again. I've got a kennel built, almost completed. He's muzzled. He stays in the house with me, or he goes with me in my truck, and he's in really good hands. The gal that I was with is no longer, I've got a restraining order against her, and she was a big part of him getting out. Every time she would get out of the truck, his leash would fall off or something like that. I'm not trying to point fingers at
Sure.
responsibility.
So, and then the third incident?
I don't know about the third one. Which one was that? They said something about a deer or something that I'd never heard of in my life.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you want to share with us?
No, just that my dog is a really good dog, and he's not labeled as that dog in my book, and a lot of people agree with me on that. I had a bunch of signatures and stuff, but I got 1 or 2 with me, and that's about it. People stating that he's a good dog.
Okay. All right. So we'll hear from animal control now.
I have a
Oh,
question.
go ahead. Sorry.
You consider your dog an inside dog or an outside dog?
He loves the outside. He loves people. He loves to go into stores with me and stuff. So more
Okay, so outside.
kind of, yeah.
So
He loves to be inside with me too, though.
Do you have a fence or something that
Yes, sir.
he can't get out of?
No, he
And
won't.
if he's within the fence, he never escapes?
He has, but only
How?
when somebody would leave a gate open, and that was my ex. And there's been 3 times that he's done that.
Does he do that when he's in the house too?
I'm sorry, sir?
Does he do that when in the house, if the door's open for a second? Does he dash
No,
outside?
he likes to go sit on his little perch, and he just watches cars go by and stuff. He's Australian cattle, and he just does his thing. He sits up there. He's not aggressive like that, but he does. If he feels he's got a little bit of a leeway, he'll take off kind of a fast walk, and then he'll take off running. And I've talked to some dog trainers, and I want to get him trained. I got a shock collar for him now.
And how old is he?
He's 4.
Have you ever used a shock collar before?
Yes, I did, and I actually used it on me before I put it on him, and it's pretty aggressive. So I did it, and he screamed, and it hurt him. So I had a problem with that kind of, but if it means his life, I'll use it on him.
Thank you.
Bruce?
Yeah, I'm just curious if the incident at the dog park was that when the first time that it killed another animal, or was that after it had already killed another animal?
It was after the chicken incident on my property over there. And I actually called the sheriff's on it, and I have a video of it, not with me, but it was after that. Lady came over and started hitting me with a dead chicken and then punched me in the arm, and I called the sheriff's department.
Yeah, so the chicken, I take it, didn't attack your dog.
No, it didn't.
So
But I didn't
it's-
see it happen, she did, I guess.
But it's demonstrated an aggressive behavior beforehand towards other animals. And then it went into the dog park, and then something happened there too.
Yes, sir. Something happened at the dog park.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
What all history would you like, from the very beginning, or?
If you can make it brief?
Okay, so after the incident at the dog park, which occurred in the city animal control contacted me, told me about it, said the dog lives in the county. I did some further investigation, found out 2 other instances that had been reported to the sheriff's office, but no citation was issued to the dog owner. And it occurred once in late 2022 and once early 2023. One was the chicken incident, and one was a deer had been killed. I was not involved in those 2 reports, and again, no citation was ever issued to the dog owner, Mr. Perez. He was just advised, hey, you need to keep your dogs contained so this doesn't happen in the future. Then the dog was declared dangerous in the city, and because of the way our ordinance is written, because he killed a chicken, a dog, and a doe, then he's considered a dangerous dog. So he was declared dangerous June 9th. You have the paperwork in front of you. I think that's when it was, June 9th. He had 28 days to comply with those regulations for keeping the dog. And on, and July 9th came, and there was a call for service for the same dog running at large in the neighborhood. And that was after the requirements had to have been met, because the declaration was to be enforced. It had not been appealed during the appeals period. So the dog declaration has been enforceable, and now, and we had not been able to make contact with Mr. Perez to be able to confirm compliance with all the other requirements, such as confinement. However, by virtue of the dog running at large, now that it just proves that the confinement wasn't being complied with. Turns out after the fact, I heard from a neighbor that was aware the dog had been loose that same day, and one of their chickens was killed at this very same day that the dog had gotten loose. So that is yet another incident of a chicken being killed. And this was after the declaration had already been put in place. And so the dog was impounded for destruction per ordinance based on the fact that he was not in compliance with the requirements. And that's kind of where we stand here. The dog is impounded until the outcome of this hearing. So.
Okay, questions?
I dropped the dog off with the sheriff's knowingly. I didn't know that he was being sought after. A neighbor had told me that animal control was at my house. I contacted animal control, and I met him down at the Humane Society. I willingly gave over my dog. They weren't looking, and I wasn't running or anything. I didn't know what was going on, and I really didn't know about him complying with any of this. I just figured I had to pay a fine, and I was really stressed about that. I'm a disability. I'm having a hard time with money. So.
Okay.
So it's 2 chickens. were killed.
at this time.
So it's 4 animals that have been killed by this
Correct.
dog. Okay.
How is he around little children?
Excellent. He loves them.
Never bit a human being.
No, sir. Yeah, he loves people. He's got a little bit of a, he's a cattle dog, so he's hyperactive a little bit, but the only problem he has is he jumps and he's got a sharp inner claw, and I got cuts, and so there's a guy down there at Ace Harbor.
Thank you.
Okay. So in your opinion, with your vast years of experience, if this dog were to be rehomed in a situation where they did not have access to other animals, would that be a viable solution?
Yes, I believe the dog has not exhibited any aggressive behavior towards people. So if he was in a home where they could comply with, fairly strict confinement regulations, so that the dog doesn't get out, so it doesn't have the ability to chase after cats or chickens or deer or whatever, is confined to a house that doesn't have other animals, then I believe he could be a good pet. It just means the owner has to be responsible and probably keep him on leash, muzzled well on leash, just on the outside chance that if he does get away, he pulls out of your hands, he's not going to be able to injure another animal.
Okay. Any thoughts, questions?
Is there any kind of analysis that can be done on the animal to determine further whether or not it could be a danger to a child?
We can try to do some testing, especially with like maybe a trainer or ourselves, and try to evaluate that.
I mean, this is really the point where, I mean, there's a history here, and, if something were to happen to a child, I would feel like it would be this board's, some of that responsibility would fall on us if we didn't at least look at that as a possibility.
The ordinance does provide the board with the discretion to consult with, I think, up to 3 trainers.
Okay. Darren, do we need to end public testimony and enter into deliberations, or we can just?
Yeah, that's probably it. Yes, that's probably the best way to do it.
Okay.
And if you're thinking about the trainer, I would just, rather than have the board manage that, utilize the sheriff's office.
Okay. All right. Did you need to hear anything further from the testimony?
No.
Okay. I'd take a motion.
I move that we enter into deliberations.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Matari,
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. All right. So this is a discussion among the board, and so we won't be hearing from you right now. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So who wants to go first? Thoughts?
I always like if we can save the animal, educate the owner, and ensure the public safety. That's the best solution. But this dog sounds like a hard case, especially when it comes to other animals. So,
My concern is the fact that, the animal has established a pattern of attacking other animals, and not always provoked, sometimes unprovoked. But what concerns me most is that the owner, at this point, is ready to do whatever it takes to save the animal's life after it's gotten to this point. And that should have been thought about in the very beginning. And I'm sorry, but that's just one of those things that you can't let it get to this point when you have a demonstrated history of it. What about the people whose animals were killed by this animal? Where, those kinds of things. What's been done for them? What would be done for the next person who may lose an animal? And that's what concerns me. I am open to the idea of perhaps looking at this one more time with the proper evaluation of this animal, only because we have an absolute duty to protect people. But if it comes back that there's too much of a question mark, a potential risk, which to me, that's all I would want to hear, is the potential risk. then I could not foresee allowing this animal back into the community. You know, it's just one of those things that I think there's enough evidence here where you've got to keep that animal away from other animals. It should not have to come to this point. And I'm fearful of what could happen to especially a young child.
We had one of these before. And I know you're probably a pretty good guy, but when it gets to this point, I'll say it again, there are no bad dogs, just bad owners. And I think you failed to be a good owner. I'm sorry.
So I guess I would say I would be in favor of analysis and then suitable adoption if that analysis proves to be acceptable. Otherwise, if the analysis is not acceptable, then I guess I would say destruction, the destruction order would stand. Is that fine?
Yeah, I think that we should do the analysis at the very least.
I'd want to hear from a trainer.
Yeah.
So Darren, do we want to make the motion for the analysis? Can we make it two parts, or, I mean, do you want to just hear the analysis first or have them?
Well, it seems like there is a decision based upon the analysis. So we would almost have to revisit this again. It seems like.
Right, so before the board is an impoundment order, so not the destruction at this point.
Well, it's impoundment and destruction, sorry.
Impoundment and destruction, okay.
Yeah.
So with an impoundment and destruction, so maybe the best way for the board to go where they want to go is issue an order today affirming the impoundment and destruction order, subject to analysis by however many trainers you would recommend, 1 or 1 to 3, subject to inquiry by the sheriff's office as to the feasibility of, what would you like to see? Of placing the dog with another owner?
From what I hear, it would be analysis by 3 trainers as to whether or not they believe that this dog proves or not proves to be a potential threat to at least small children, if not other animals.
People.
People, it's, do you think it's just the prey drive towards animals that run, or could it potentially be as well children? And so that would be something, if a trainer feels that they can evaluate that appropriately, I could bring that result back to the board to decide whether it's going to be rehomed or destroyed.
So with that, we should just continue this hearing for
Okay.
14 days? Is that enough time?
I would think so.
For 14 days, for that additional information.
Okay,
And then you can get on to your 2 o'clock and
okay, so
I'd like
just,
to see if we can save marbles.
yeah. So, then I guess just a motion to continue with the analysis being performed by the sheriff's office,
So I move that we continue the analysis,
or continue the hearing.
continue the hearing with an analysis by the sheriff's office
Okay.
with 3 trainers
Okay.
For 14
I
days.
second
for
the
14 days.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. All right. So, Mr. Perez, do you understand what's going to happen now to Marbles?
He's gonna be evaluated by trainers, pretty much, and see if he's a danger to kids, the
Yes.
community. pretty
Yep.
much. Yes.
And then when we get that answer, then it'll come back before the board, and then we'll make our final decision.
I understand. I almost have this kennel completed. I've got all the signs posted. I have pictures of it, of the kennel, of the concrete I poured. I've been really trying. I know it's a little late. I didn't understand the paperwork at the time. But if it turns out that he's okay around children and the community, and I know it's a little bit late, But I mean, I've been trying my hardest. This dog's my life. I love him. He loves me dearly. I mean, he really does. Can I please have a chance of getting him back?
We'll just have to see what the analysis brings, but at this point, I didn't hear that direction from the board. So,
I mean, I'm okay with examining that, depending on the analysis. But it would be I think the board should only consider it a one-time thing. I mean, if the animal so much even got out of a pen.
Where's he living now?
He's impounded, but he stays with me, and I've got a kennel on the property that's almost done. He stays inside the house with me at night. He won't be in the yard ever again. He doesn't jump the fence or anything like that, but there has been times where he's gotten out, and I've
so
got pictures of a spring that
yeah,
kills us.
we've got to get on to our next meeting. So with no further public comment, 2:04, this meeting's adjourned. So you're going to be notified when the next